Most people's knowledge of how St. John's National Park came to be stops at knowing Lawrence Rockefeller donated it. But it wasn't that simple. To commemorate the park's 50th anniversary, island photographer Steve Simonsen, along with Bruce Schoonover and Bill Stelzer, put together a 30-minute documentary that tells the whole story. We had a chance to talk to Steve about the project, and he says it's a story that starts many years before the actual formation of the national park.
There's a lot more to the story than that, isn't there?
Absolutely, and that's what the whole documentary unfolds, is it tells the story in the years, even a decade or more, leading up to the establishment. Who had the first idea in 1939 that looked at St. John and said, yeah, this should be turned into a park. And then it kind of sat and nothing happened, and World War II happened. And then, you know, by the 1950s, two key people got to basically landed on St. John and looked at it and said, this place is too cool to let just go to the ravages of commercialism. And that was Frank Stick and Lawrence Rockefeller. Of course, they had great support. They had to have great support with the local, and that ended up being Senator Julius Sproul.
The documentary tells the story through pictures, new and old, and in fact it includes old film footage shot by a wealthy man who liked to document his travels.
That was the best part of the project. As soon as we started looking at what we needed to tell the story, the Rockefeller Archive Center, that basically they opened their doors to us and basically said they sent us 3 films. 2 were black and white, 1 was in color. These were films that Lawrence Rockefeller had the wherewithal to hire someone in 1950 to film St. John. Like, you know, so many aspects of it, and this was the kind of footage that we had at our disposal.
And comparing those old images to the St. John of today, Steve says it is actually a much more beautiful island than it was a half-century ago.
In comparison to the 1950s film, and then looking at film that you could make today on the same island, the island is so much more lush and so greener and more grown up, more coconut trees. I mean, the island looked really scrubby and bare. I mean, they considered it beautiful in 1950, but definitely the park has done its job and it's way more beautiful now.
Simonsen also had the chance to interview some of the people still on island who were there 50 years ago, some of them even longer ago than that.
Rafe Boulon was telling me times when, you know, growing up on St. John, that he and the Gibney kids would just, they would go walking on the North Shore, and they'd leave their home sometime during the day, and they wouldn't come back till maybe a day or 2 later. And their parents didn't worry about them one bit. They'd take a sheet with them and whatever else, and they'd end up just sleeping on the beach and you know, fishing for, you know, I mean, it was just that they'd go away, and their parents didn't even worry about them. The whole deal with transportation from Trunk Bay, you know, like Mrs. Boulon would wait for a boat to go by, and they'd catch a ride to St. Thomas and go shopping. Like, this was a once-in-a-month thing. And then they'd go shopping all day, and then they'd come back, hopefully that same day, by somebody either coming to Cruz Bay or going to Tortola, and they'd drop them off at Trunk Bay on the way. You know, and that's pretty cool.
The DVD shows a St. John that few people remember, and it tells the story from an historical standpoint that is fascinating. It is available for purchase on the Friends of the Virgin Islands National Park website, and proceeds go to the continued efforts to preserve St. John's natural beauty for generations to come. It is a truly amazing story how several unrelated people, similar visions, and uncanny timing ended up making what happened to St. John happen.
Just the precariousness of, you know, if just a couple things hadn't happened, just so, this would be just like St. Thomas today.
The establishment of the Virgin Islands National Park is available from the Friends of the Virgin Islands National Park at friendsvinp.org.